If you've ever doubted that real emotions can slip through even the tightest of scripts, then what happened backstage between Wang and Shen Yue will make you question everything you thought you knew about acting, chemistry, and hidden emotions. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any of our latest emotional and jaw-dropping C-drama stories. What you're about to hear might just change the way you see them forever. The whispers started quietly, like the faint rustle of silk in an empty hallway. The set had wrapped for the night, the crew had begun packing up, and the laughter from the earlier shoot had faded into soft echoes. But someone lingered behind the heavy velvet curtains. Dylan. His hands tucked into his pockets, his expression unreadable, as though he was waiting for something, or perhaps, someone. Then Shen Yue appeared, wearing that same quiet grace that had made millions of viewers fall for her on screen. There was something different about her that night though, a stillness in her steps, an emotion in her eyes that seemed too raw, too real. When she saw Dylan standing there, the air between them shifted. It wasn't just two actors meeting after a long shoot, it was two souls caught between fiction and reality. She hesitated at first, perhaps thinking it was better to walk away, to keep things professional. But Dylan turned to her, and for a moment, the whole world seemed to pause. What followed wasn't planned, wasn't rehearsed, and certainly wasn't written into any script. It was a moment of silence, filled with tension, understanding, and years of unspoken words. He whispered something to her, words too quiet for anyone nearby to hear. But whatever he said made her eyes tremble, her lips part slightly, as though she was caught between disbelief and longing. Then, like the slow pull of gravity, she stepped closer, and before either of them could think twice, their lips met. It was soft, hesitant, but charged with something deeper than simple affection. The kind of kiss that tells 1,000 stories at once, the kind that feels both like an ending and a beginning. The light from the corridor outside caught the moment, just enough to be seen by someone passing by, someone who would later leak it, setting the entire internet ablaze. By morning, fans were divided. Some said it was just a misunderstanding, a scene rehearsal perhaps. Others claimed it was proof that the on-screen connection between Dylan and Shen Yue had always been more than acting. Behind the studio doors, silence reigned. Neither of them issued a statement, neither confirmed nor denied it. But those who were there that night couldn't forget the look on Dylan's face after the kiss, a quiet storm of emotion, something real, something human. The next day, when the crew gathered again, the atmosphere was different. Shen Yue avoided Dylan's eyes at first, keeping herself busy with the makeup team. Yet Dylan, usually playful, unusually quiet, walked straight up to her. The crew watched in silence as he gently placed a hand on her shoulder. The air tensed again, that unspoken connection flickering like a flame trying not to die out. She turned to him and said softly, "You shouldn't have done that." But he only smiled faintly and replied, "I think I already did." For days, the headlines wouldn't stop. Wang and Shen Yue caught in a backstage moment. The kiss that shook the set. From co-stars to something more. Fans replayed old interviews, searching for clues, the way Dylan would glance at her mid-laugh, the way Shen Yue's voice softened whenever she said his name. The puzzle pieces suddenly made sense. But there was something else. Something the cameras hadn't captured that night. Something deeper than a kiss. A secret only a few crew members knew. Because after that kiss, when everyone had left, Dylan stayed behind in that same spot, staring at the empty space where she had stood. And then, almost as if speaking to the air itself, he murmured, "I waited too long to tell you." Was it love? Was it regret? No one knows. But one thing became clear. The line between reality and fiction had blurred completely for Dylan and Shen Yue that night. If you've been following their journey, you know that every glance, every moment between them, carries layers of emotion. But after what happened backstage, everything changed. The producers reportedly had to call a private meeting, trying to address the chaos surrounding the leak. Rumor has it that one of them even broke down during the discussion, admitting that what they saw that night wasn't just acting. It was heartbreak in real time. Fans across social media were relentless. Some begged for them to reunite in a new project. Others claimed this incident would tear their careers apart. But what none of them knew was that the story didn't end that night. What followed in the days ahead would reveal even more than the kiss itself. The silence backstage that night never really ended, it just stretched, long and heavy, through every corridor of the studio, through every whisper of the crew, through every heartbeat that refused to calm down. What had started as a quiet rehearsal turned into something no one could erase. The moment Dylan's hand brushed against Shen Yue's cheek, time stopped, and the cameras that were never meant to roll did. But what no one saw was what happened after. As soon as the crew realized what had been captured, panic rippled through the team. One assistant tried to delete the clip, but it was too late. A few seconds had already been uploaded by a background staffer who didn't realize the gravity of what they had recorded. Within hours, it was everywhere, trending across China, Korea, and international fan pages. Headlines screamed of betrayal, of hidden love, of years of tension finally snapping into something real. But behind those flashing headlines was a story no one understood, because the truth didn't start backstage. It started years ago, on a cold night after their first drama shoot had wrapped. Dylan had found Shen Yue sitting on the curb outside the studio, her eyes red, her hands shaking from exhaustion. She had been struggling with the pressure, the criticism, the endless comparisons. Dylan didn't say much that night, just sat beside her and offered his jacket. She had smiled through her tears and said quietly, "If this ever gets too much, promise you won't leave me behind." He had promised. And for years, he kept that promise, silently, fiercely, through every rumor, every distance, every forced separation by agencies that wanted to protect their public images. That kiss backstage wasn't an accident. It was a breaking point. The day of that scene, Shen Yue had just finished filming an emotional confrontation where she had to cry, confess, and walk away from Dylan's character. She had delivered the scene perfectly, but when the director yelled cut, she didn't move. Dylan walked up to her, thinking she needed a moment, but when she looked at him, the lines between fiction and reality blurred. The tears in her eyes weren't just part of the act. They were real, heavy, and filled with years of unsaid words. "I'm tired of pretending," she whispered. And Dylan, for the first time, didn't hold back. He stepped closer, his voice low, trembling, then stopped pretending. When their lips met, it wasn't planned, it wasn't for the cameras. It was a release, a confession, and a goodbye all at once. Backstage staff froze. Some gasped. Others turned away. The cameras caught the reflection off a glass panel, a moment that would ripple through the entire entertainment industry. But the aftermath was worse. Their management teams went into crisis mode. Statements were drafted, denials were prepared, and both Dylan and Shen Yue were ordered to stay silent. For weeks, they weren't seen together. Online, fans argued endlessly, some defending their love, others calling it a publicity stunt. But those who looked closely noticed the small signs, the matching ring on Shen Yue's finger during a live stream, the photo Dylan posted of a sunset with two shadows leaning together. It wasn't over. It was just hidden again. Months later, during an awards ceremony in Beijing, fate brought them face to face once more. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted, but Dylan didn't care. When he saw her, he walked straight toward her, ignoring the chaos. Shen Yue stood frozen, her eyes wide, trembling as he approached. He leaned close, his words barely a whisper, but the microphones caught enough. "I kept the promise," he said softly. Her eyes glistened, and for a brief moment, she nodded. The entire hall went silent. That tiny exchange broke the internet again. It wasn't about the kiss anymore. It was about two people who had fought the world, lost, and somehow still found their way back, even if only through a whisper in a crowded room. After the event, Shen Yue posted a single message on her social media. "Some moments can't be erased, no matter how much silence you wrap them in." And Dylan, a few hours later, replied with 3 words. "I never left." The post reached millions within minutes, fans worldwide exploding with emotion. Some cried, others cheered, but everyone knew, something real had survived behind the walls of fame and fear. Rumors say they met again privately a few weeks later, away from the cameras, in a quiet place near Hangzhou Lake where they had once filmed together. A passerby claimed to have seen them walking under the soft glow of lanterns, their fingers barely touching but close enough to know what it meant. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was a beginning. Whatever it was, it changed everything. Because after that night, Dylan's tone in interviews softened when her name was mentioned. Shen Yue's smile lingered longer when his face appeared on a billboard. And while they never publicly confirmed anything, every fan who had followed their journey knew, the kiss backstage wasn't a mistake. It was the truth finally breaking free. So when the lights went down that final night of filming, and Shen Yue turned one last time toward Dylan, she whispered a line that wasn't in the script. "Now the world knows." And Dylan, with a quiet smile, replied, "Let them." The screen may have faded to black, but their story didn't. It just slipped into the silence between fame and feeling, where real love always hides. If you felt the emotion in this story, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now for more mind-blowing C-drama secrets, hidden love stories, and emotional moments the world has never seen. Your support helps us uncover the truth behind every untold chapter. Stay tuned, because the next story will leave you speechless.